Hey guys, how much better do you feel when you've had a good haircut? You've gone for maybe a massage. You feel loads better, don't you? Well, that's what we're doing today on this lawn. Now this lawn gets renovated every single year. He likes to keep it in tip-top condition, and usually it looks absolutely great, but it's been so wet it's suffered a bit and gone downhill a bit. So we're going to be scarifying, aerating, seeding with the customer's own grass seed, and then we're going to top dress, get some emerald green on, take it from there. So we're going to put some horticultural gypsum down now. You can get gypsum powder, gypsum granules, doesn't matter what brand you go for. Some gypsum will help to break up the clay from big particles, making it really sticky and wet and solid. It'll break up into smaller particles that stick together, and that creates drainage channels around, and that drainage then improves drainage for water and nutrients to get down to the roots where it's needed. So I'm just going to walk over now. And that's it. I'm going to do the same now with some pre-seed fertiliser, low in nitrogen. Look at the N, P and K values. High nitrogen is usually something like 20, 10, 5 or 20, 10, 6, something along those lines. When it's low nitrogen, 10 or below generally, and the numbers are kind of roughly similar but lower. Right, I'm going to get the pre-seed fertiliser on. So now we've got the pre-seed fertiliser, and it's just the same again. And now it's time to do some seeding. So I'm going to be seeding using my drop spreader. We'll put the seeds into the hopper and the seeds drop out the bottom. When I press this handle, it opens up a series of holes inside there, and you can make those holes small or you can make them big. And if you make them big, more seeds fall out. I generally find with most seeds, I open this up to the biggest hole size and then go over the lawn twice, and that is absolutely fine. We'll get good coverage based on that. So the seed that he is using is from the grass people. And it's called Superstar Back Lawn, Family, Kids and Pets. Okay, so if you're interested, it's just generally, I don't even know if this is the same as what he had last year, but anyway, we're going to use it. Try not to get any in between pavers, because you'll have grass growing up. There's about half a bag in there. So we know that the soil is just on these little bricks, these edging stones on the pavers. The hopper is very close to this wheel, like about 1 centimetre. So I try and get the edge of the wheel just on the concrete edging, squeeze and push, and that's it. It's not a very thick covering, that's why I like to go over twice. So I'm going to go around the edges, then I'm going to go up and down, and then I will go across, and that will be my 2 covers. Then I will look and see if there's any areas which are quite bare where we need to just hand scatter a few more. So that's the plan. So we have put the seed on the ground. I've got good coverage. I'm really happy. As I went over it, when there was some particularly bare areas, I would go backwards and forwards a couple of times with the spreader, so it was covered. And I like to aim for a gap, probably between 1/2 centimetre and 1 centimetre between each seed, if not a little bit more. You don't want a big pile of seeds, because that ends up causing a lot of crowding of the seeds, and then you've got to sort of thin that out at a later point, because each seed actually becomes a plant. So we could leave it at this, walk away and hope for the best, but birds are going to take some of the seeds, the wind is going to blow some of the seeds away, and any heavy rain could wash some of the seeds away. So what we need to do is try and cover the seeds. So there's a couple of things. You could just put a fleece on and peg it down, horticultural fleece, which are available on Amazon, eBay, and they're not too bad, and just keep watering and see how you get on. But I like to put some compost. You can use topsoil. I use multi-purpose compost and put a thin layer over the top of the seeds, maybe 1/2 centimetre to 1 centimetre at most, and that's it. You're getting some goodness, some organics into the ground, and at the same time you're covering the seed, so it offers that protection. And later on after that we'll run the roller over as well, just to firm it all in before the last couple of steps. So I'm going to crack on with this now. I've got a compost spreader. You don't have to use a compost spreader, but this is my compost spreader. It's made by Landsea, several different brands. Now, I haven't tried the other brands which are cheaper. I've only used this brand, so I honestly don't know what the others are like, but I always think that if you buy cheap you end up buying twice, and that's usually a common theme. But when I first started doing lawn care and gardening many years ago, everything I bought was really cheap, and eventually they would break. And so what I did, I would invest the money and get something bigger and better. So now everything I buy is high-end, top of the range stuff, and I get the stuff which basically will last, and you can just keep using it time and time again. This, it's done me 2 or 3 years now, so it's probably done about 80, 90 lawn renovations. So it served me well. If you don't want to use one of these, you could just get your compost, pour it in a pile and use a brush or the back of a rake and just rake it all about. Keep working it backwards and forwards so it doesn't smother any blades of grass. This is relatively straightforward. It's nice and accurate. So you'll need a little Stanley blade. This one's already got a hole in it, But I'm just going to get the Stanley blade and open it up. Make sure you close. Pour it in. Make sure you close the latches. And you just push this across the lawn. It's relatively straightforward. Obviously this is the end of it. So you want the end of it on the end of your lawn. And I'm also going to start down here. So I'm just going to lift it up and place it in position. Maybe a couple of inches onto the hard surface, because it doesn't come out as soon as you start pushing. It comes out after a couple of inches. And all you do, you just push. And it's that simple. Okay, let's crack on. Alright, looking pretty good. Yes, you could leave it at this, and you've definitely improved the chances of getting a better overall result. But as you will see, there are areas like this, and it's basically smothered the grass, where there it hasn't. There the grass is just poking through, but you can see there. Now what we need to do is work that in, and you can do it like this, and that's it. You can actually do that with a brush, a sweeping brush, or a rake. Use the back of a rake, the long straight flat bit, or you can drag something across like a drag mat, or even a pallet, what people have used. But I'm going to use a lute, which is this thing here, used for levelling lawns, but it's also got these hard straight flat edges which drag any material from a high spot into a low spot, and it knocks that material off of the blades of grass. So if you look at this section here, okay, it's fairly smothered. Now I'm just going to drag this, and you can see there how it's dragging it there against the hard piece. Okay, and when there's a low spot, it'll drag it and it will fall into the low spot. See, it's vanished. But what it's done, it's worked it in and down and in between those blades of grass. So just work your way across the lawn. You just drag it along behind you, or you can go backwards and forwards. Alright, so you saw me put the lute on, then you saw me put the roller on. That's firmed it all in now. All those little grooves would have been squashed flat with the seeds nicely tucked in. So now we've got a really good chance of getting a really good success rate. And then finally I sprayed some emerald green on, which helps the seeds to germinate. It helps hold water around the roots. and there's some other nutrients in there which really do help it quite a bit. So the next step now is watering. So I'm going to talk to you about watering and how much and how often. First of all, try not to walk on the lawn if you can help it. So I'm just going to stretch this out. So we're looking for water that comes down like rain. Just a nice gentle sort of rain. So it's best if you can go round the edges rather than dragging the hose pipe over, because that could move some of the seeds. Now I appreciate it's not always easy, but if you have to walk on the lawn, lift the hose pipe up and place it down. So just open it up, and that's a nice fine mist. And you want to give your lawn probably twice a day for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, something like that. And the idea is to keep the seeds nice and damp as much as possible without them drying out. Now you don't want a heavy jet, because if you point a heavy jet down, it's going to make the seeds move around. So just do the best that you can. The pressure isn't absolutely fantastic here, but it's okay, we can just about reach that far end. Now if it rains, you don't need to water. If it gets really hot, then increase to probably 3 times a day, maybe 4 times a day. And if we get that heat wave, up it again, because they will dry out really fast. I've known people water the lawn up to 6 times a day when there's a bit of a heat wave going off. And you need to be doing all of this for about 4 weeks. Because that is roughly the time it takes for all the seeds to come through and thicken up and get a little bit more established. This water's actually warm, I'm on the wrong tap. Okay. Now, okay, water's not coming out. Should turn the tap on, hey? By the way, every year, change these connectors. Just get some new connectors. They're not much, 7-8 quid I think for a set. One of these and maybe one of those, and also the same ones on this end, these connectors, because after a while they just wear out and they start popping off. So hold the grey and turn the yellow, and that's it. So that is it. I'm just going to stay here and water this, but I hope you've enjoyed it. We are done with this video. If you want to know any more about any of this, just pop your questions down in the comment section below. But I found this to be the most therapeutic part. So relaxing, I could actually just stay here for hours and just continuously water these lawns. Yeah, that's cooler now. Right, thank you for watching. There'll be some more videos coming up on the screen any second now, all packed with tips and ideas to help you get a better lawn. See you again, take care.